Hey everyone, this is the podcast called The Pharmacist. I'm assisting crops on your farm and digging into agriculture. I am your host, the Farmerette, and today I am going to be talking about some acronyms out there that we need to be in tune to as producers of corn. That would be GREET, G-R-E-E-T. Do you know what it is? CI score. What is a CI score in corn? What does it have to do with me? You know, these are questions that when I ask producers, they're kind of like, eh? And there's a lot of guys that are in tune to this, and good for you. And you probably could talk on this longer than I can, but I've only got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to hit the highlights and dig in a little deeper on this subject. So with that, let's dig in. All right, let's look at the GREET. What is GREET? GREET is a model that was developed to evaluate the energy and environmental performances of technologies. So here, this is really what it is. Greenhouse gases. Regulated, that's your R, emissions is your E, and energy use in technologies. Did you catch that? Greenhouse gases, regulated, emissions, and energy used in technologies. That it came out in the mid-90s, so this has been around quite a while. But there's another subgroup in that's called the Argonne National Laboratory. That's where they get these GREET databases. You can go to greet.anl.gov and find out more information on this whole subject. And when you get into this Argonne, it's got like crop soil climate data to model soil carbon changes. That's county level modeling of soil carbon. The second one, soil carbon data to evaluate land management impacts. And then the third one they've got on here listed is on-farm energy use for crop production. And that is looking at consumptions to calculate farming carbon intensity. Bam, there's your CI right there. Carbon intensity score. So what exactly is a CI score, that carbon intensity score? What does that mean to you as a producer? Well, currently the standard CI score for corn is 29.1. And the Inflation Reduction Act sets the weighted average at about 25 or below 25. But for corn, for ethanol, that's kind of where it's set. And how can it be used? I mean, this was a provision in the Inflation Reduction Act, Section 45Z. It provides the biofuel producers, the ethanol, your biodiesel, with a tax credit incentive to produce lower emission fuels. And the lower the CI score of grain is, that it becomes a greater value. All right. And so as a farmer, okay, I'm thinking to myself as a farmer, well, how can I lower my CI score? And what do you need? Well, the data that farmers need to calculate their CI score, one is going to be yield. They're going to look at your APHs. Two is your fuel usage, your energy usage, your fertilizer, your herbicides, insecticides, your tillage, your cover crops, manure. And maybe you no-till. That would bring your score down. If you reduced your NPK, that would bring your CI score down. Adding cover crops lowers your score. So I'm sure, and I know there are platforms out here for analyzing this. In the data world that we live in, everything obviously is synced to different platforms, and we live in a data world. And unfortunately, we live in this carbon world, and I get the offset market. Okay, that's a whole different ball game, and we've never really seen anything. The value there is hard to calculate. And buying credits, the guys that fly around and they buy their offsets. I get why it's not adapting. I get it. I'm a farmer. But to differentiate that from the carbon offset program, farmers sell the grain with the grain's carbon data associated directly to its value. So this is unlike that carbon offset program, which compensates farmers for carbon as an asset itself. So think about this CI score as a way to really add some extra revenue per acre. And honestly, the IRS still has till January 1st of 2025 to issue regulations on this credit, and all these credits go to the ethanol plants, and then hopefully they pass them on to you. And I'm sure there's a bunch of gray area in between that they have to work out. And this is all set by the IRS, but you need to start thinking about this if you're marketing grain in the future. So let's just look at an example. I pulled a really good one off of AgWeb here. And they were just assume that a farmer delivers corn with a CI of 15. Okay, maybe they're doing some cover crops and no-till. They reduce their NPK, and the plant qualifies for the full credit of 5.4 cents per CI reduction. That's what the ethanol plant would have. This equals a credit of 76 cents per bushel roughly. And if we assume that the plant will pay a premium based on 40% of the credit, this equals a premium of about 30 cents a bushel. So if you grow 220 bushel corn, this is about an extra $66 an acre of revenue just by having a lower CI score or carbon intensity score of your corn. That's why it's important to start thinking about this, start thinking about how you're going to track this. How are you going to show them that you did lower your score? And again, there are platforms out there. And we also have to think about the fact that this is still a not in stone. Okay. So this has not been decided yet. This is going to the ethanol plants. Will it be passed on to a producer that's hauling grain to the ethanol plant? That's the big question, because this isn't set. So this is just kind of an overview to help you understand a CI score going forward and what it means to you and your operation. Like I said, it's something that they may take all of this and put it in their infrastructure in the ethanol industry. And, who knows? But that's the reason I'm doing this podcast. So at least you can not have a wonder of what a CI score is or what GREET is. And I just want to explain the 45Z, because maybe that's some lingo maybe you've heard, but you're kind of like, what is this? I haven't really researched it. So the 45Z, I'm reading this off of the growthenergy.org website. It's a pro-biofuels tax incentive. And the 45Z section, there's 3 sections in this. The 45Z section is the Clean Fuel Production Tax Credit, the CFPC. And it provides a tax credit for fuels relative to how low their carbon intensity score, again, that CI score, is against a baseline level defined as 50 CI in statute under that Argonne greenhouse gas regulated emissions, energy use, and transportation, the GREET model that I spoke of earlier, for non-aviation fuel. This value of this credit is about 2 cents per gallon for each CI point under 50. And entities can qualify for this fuel produced and sold between 2025 and 2027. So that's why I'm saying think ahead. And we all know what the corn markets are doing right now. So I'm putting this out here for producers to at least understand the lingo, the 45Z, a CI score, GREET, ESG. It is over us, guys. And like I said, this GREET was in the mid-90s. So like I say this is nothing new. This has been in the .gov for a while. It's just, it affects us as producers. And I think everyone needs to understand this. That's why I'm doing this podcast. There's no real guidance on this yet, and no one knows what the actual rules are going to be. But if you want to find out what your CI score is, I think it's something that we need to be in the know about as producers. I can link a few, or maybe you're one of those platforms that you want to join me on the podcast and explain your platform to me. That would be great. Woo, that was a lot of carbon talk today. Holy crap. So anyway, I wanted to thank you all for listening in. And here's what I'm going to do. We all know what the corn market prices are right now. And this is why I'm giving you some of this information so you can be prepared and understand the lingo of a CI and a GREET and what's moving forward. And I am going to give away a Make Corn Great Again shirt. So you can have a hat too if you want, but I'm going to do a Make Corn Great Again. I'm in no affiliation with the Make America Great Again. I'm just making corn great again. And so give me some stars. If you don't like my podcast, give me a 1. If you really like it, give me a 5. I appreciate that. And if you can share this podcast with your buddies or your friends or the public, I don't care. Give it a share. If you have topics that you'd like me to talk on, maybe dig deeper into, or maybe you're a consumer and you have questions, maybe you're an expert in the field I just talked about, reach out to me, give me a direct message. I'm the Farmerette on social media. And with that, I hopefully enjoyed the podcast today. I'm going to have more, probably some more agronomy things, maybe some more other topics of different things. I'm going to bounce around here, so you got to stick with me. I'm going to keep you on the edge of your seat, and you're not going to know what I'm going to talk about next. With that, this is the Pharmacist signing off on the podcast, Digging into Agriculture. Thank you for digging ag, and we will talk to you on the next episode.